I met Nick. We were DJing. We used to DJ with George Galley. He used to run a club called underground club called Boston Garage back in the day. Straight underground warehouse. It's dope. And I met Nick there. George let him DJ. I was like, you know, he was a skinny kid with the afro. Nick had a big afro back then.
I met Nick like back in the early 90s at the record store. You know, all the DJs would go there, everyone's getting their pile, whether it was from like Star Sound or Trax or Play-D. And you know, all of us are there sitting there with our stacks on beside Nick, and we're just kind of looking through records. You know, certain DJs got this, certain DJs got that, and every Thursday we just kind of just connected, and eventually we just became friends, right? So.
Nick said he was making some tracks, so Nick brought his demo in, and we were like, man, this is something different, because Nick was ahead of his time. He was making this minimal techno, but it had soul to it, and we were like, because Strobe, we were kind of a little different from everything that was going on, so we figured, you know, this is a perfect fit because these records are just, nobody else is making these type of records. Very expensive to produce his release because we did a double 12-inch release. So we had to press 2 records and we had to stuff them in these jackets. I mean, that jacket was tight. It was hard to pull the records out of. That was a digital age EP, and I mean, it was classic, instant classic.
I would say humble, creative, smart, kind, and not afraid to think outside the box. Just a great guy and a great producer.
He's talented, he's quiet, he loves music, he's a good friend, and I'd say he's someone you'd want to be your friend for the rest of your life. And I think that's been Nick's advantage, is he's always been ahead of the curve, and he makes records not listening to records. So I think that's what worked.
I actually first met Nick at the record store. Like, I'd show up there and we'd talk, and I knew he did the show, right? And I was like, who didn't listen to the show? Like, started off with Mitch, and then it was at one point Mitch, Nick Holder, and Greg Gabb, who's like huge right now, and it was those 3, and the show was 3 hours. It was from 6 to 9. So eventually Mitch left, Greg left, and it was just Nick, and he turned it into the deep section. So York was pretty much like right up the street from my house. I used to go there, hang out, just listen to him, and then, you know, eventually I gave him a demo, right? I go, you know, I'd like to do a guest set on your show, and he's like, all right, let me check it out. And everything just took up from there. So like if he was running late, I'd fill in for the show, or he'd get me to do like the first hour of the show, he'd do the last, and then eventually I just took over deep section, which was at CHOY, which then became Internet Radio, and then during that he jumped over to CKLN, taking over Soul Fusion Express, Barham, and all those guys. So the show was 3 hours. It was like 11 to 2. Was that 11 to 2? I can't remember. 11 to 2. So like I came in and I said, you know, do you want me to help you do the show? He's like, yeah, it's 3 hours. He does the first half, I do the second half, or vice versa, and we just pretty much kicked it off from there. It was cool. It was fun. That was a good thing about it, just because we had a lot of great interviews. Like the 3 of us were a pretty good core. Like we were all good friends. Like people used to come out and hang out, you know, and it was just jokes. Like if anything, it was jokes. So yeah.
We've done. Nick did some remixes for me for the Charts record, and I want him to do some more remixes for me because they're just dope. We did a Zaki record, which is sitting in my hard drive, which better get out of my hard drive.
It's nice and safe in your hard drive.
This record is ridiculous, and if Nick doesn't come get it, I'm gonna put it out.
I'd like to see Nick do a little bit more hip hop the way he was starting before. That's just me. He's like Toronto's or Canada's ambassador to house music in South Africa.
Oh, I need to get over there. I keep bugging him. I tell him I carry his records or his hard drives or whatever. Yeah.